Legend Hulk Hogan.
Hogan died at his Clearwater home earlier today.
When the news broke of Terry Hulk Hogan Bollea's passing on July 24th, 2025, the wrestling universe braced for an outpouring of tributes worthy of the man who helped transform sports entertainment into a global phenomenon. But what unfolded at Hogan's funeral in Clearwater Beach, Florida, has become one of the most talked about controversies in WWE history. In a candid, emotionally charged interview released mere days after the service, Hogan's ex-wife, Linda Hogan, revealed an unexpected truth. An alarming number of wrestling's biggest names simply did not show up. Her revelations have ignited fierce debate about loyalty, legacy, and the nature of brotherhood in an industry built on spectacle and secrets. Hulk Hogan's monumental legacy. Terry Bollea wasn't just another wrestler. He was the face of an era. From his breakout in the early 1980s under Vince McMahon's WWF national expansion, through the NWO rebellion in WCW, and back again to define WWE's Attitude Era, Hogan's larger-than-life persona and say your prayers and eat your vitamins mantra reigned supreme for over 3 decades. Families gathered around television sets to watch him flex his biceps and body slam giants, while children donned yellow bandanas and red shirts as a badge of honor. In a business built on short attention spans, Hogan's charisma turned professional wrestling into a pop culture phenomenon. When he passed, fans and media expected a funeral mirroring WrestleMania's grandeur, a star-studded, tear-jerking send-off befitting the man who carried WWE on his bronze shoulders. Anticipation, a star-studded farewell. Rumors swirled for days leading up to the ceremony. Early fan-made lineups listed legends of the golden and ruthless eras, names like The Undertaker, Macho Man, Randy Savage's estate, Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair, and even current superstars such as Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. Corporate communications from WWE hinted at a private but heartwarming celebration of life, held in a gated chapel, but social media buzzed with speculation that, in true Hogan fashion, tens of thousands of fans and dozens of Hall of Famers would descend upon Clearwater Beach. Flowers were ordered by the truckload. Cameras were primed for tribute montages. Yet as the day dawned, reality deviated sharply from expectations. Linda Hogan's revelations, a chilling quiet. In her first on-camera interview since the funeral, Linda Hogan spoke with raw emotion, her voice wavering between sorrow and indignation. She painted a stark picture of the ceremony, a modest chapel filled with immediate family, a handful of old friends, and none of the wrestling giants fans were promised. "I expected to see the people who called Terry their brother," Linda said, tears glistening. "Guys who cried with him after his surgeries, who texted him when he wasn't sure he'd walk again. And yet they didn't even pick up a phone or send a card. They didn't show." The sting of betrayal was palpable. For the woman who stood beside Hogan through his peaks and valleys, the absence of so many peers cut deeper than any in-ring injury. The no-shows, key absentees, and their silence. Linda Hogan stopped short of naming every absentee, but dropped telling hints. She spoke of legends who were listed in the early printed program but never arrived. Observers quickly noted the conspicuous absence of Vince McMahon, the architect behind Hogan's transformation into a global icon, yet nowhere to be seen or accounted for. Ric Flair, once affectionately dubbed Hogan's brother-in-arms, later defector to WCW's NWO, whose own storied rivalry with Hogan added complexity to their relationship. Shawn Michaels, a self-professed Hogan admirer whose Mr. WrestleMania moniker owed much to the path Hogan paved. The Undertaker, the stalwart of WWE's darker Attitude Era, whose presence at any major WWE funeral had been assumed. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, the modern torchbearers who frequently credit Hogan as an inspiration, yet absent when grief demanded presence. Even some backstage producers and former commentators were nowhere in sight. Linda revealed that flowers and online condolences trickled in, but physical attendance, the act of standing shoulder to shoulder in grief, remained painfully lacking. Shockwaves through the wrestling community. As word of Linda's interview circulated, social media ruptured. "Where were you?" trended on X, with fans demanding to know why so many titans of the industry remained absent. Was it lingering resentment over Hogan's scandal-marred past? Fear of association with a once-banned superstar? Simple scheduling conflicts? Or did personal quarrels and ego clashes in the locker room outweigh the fraternity fans believed existed? The debate grew heated. Defenders argued grief manifests privately. Not everyone processes loss well in public settings. Critics countered that televised tributes lack weight if one cannot be physically present for the final farewell. Pundits noted that in an industry of scripted alliances and rivalries, unscripted reactions reveal the truest loyalties. Many fans rewatched past Hogan-Flair promos, highlighting their chemistry and mutual respect, only to feel betrayed by Flair's absence. Others dug into Hogan's leaked personal videos and old controversies, suggesting some peers never forgave him. Corporate response: WWE's measured statement. Amid the maelstrom, WWE released a brief, sanitized press release. We extend our deepest condolences to the Bollea family. Hulk Hogan was a global icon and a cherished member of the WWE family. Notably missing was any mention of the funeral itself or acknowledgement of the absent superstars. The lack of detail only fueled speculation that corporate wanted to quell the narrative before it tarnished the brand. Backstage whispers hinted at internal memos advising talent not to comment publicly, lest they stoke further controversy. In an era when transparency is demanded by fans and media alike, WWE's reticence came across as cold and evasive. Wrestling's brotherhood. Fact or fiction? Wrestling has long promoted itself as an unbreakable brotherhood, a close-knit fraternity forged in the heat of travel, the grind of training, and the shared energy of live performance. Promotional spots, backstage segments, and heartfelt interviews have painted a portrait of wrestlers as a family that has each other's backs, in and out of the ring. This narrative hinges on several enduring images: locker rooms bustling with camaraderie, veterans mentoring rookies, and performers banding together to protect one another from the unique pressures of the business. Yet Linda Hogan's revelation of the chilling quiet at Hulk Hogan's funeral casts a stark light on this ideal. The absence of so many marquee names forced fans and insiders to ask whether the wrestling bond is real or a carefully scripted illusion. When Shane Helms, better known to fans as the Hurricane, tweeted, "Grief isn't a performance. Just because you didn't see us doesn't mean we weren't there in spirit," he tapped into a deeper truth. Emotional expression is deeply personal, and public absence does not always equate to indifference. Still, as critics pointed out, spirit cannot occupy a pew or comfort a grieving family. The myth of the locker room family. In countless documentaries and retrospective specials, wrestling legends recall nights spent sharing pizza in cramped hotels, swapping stories about life on the road, and policing backstage behavior to maintain a sense of unity. Promoters leaned into these anecdotes to reinforce the idea that when the lights went out, wrestlers remained bonded. That myth has been a powerful marketing tool, fueling fan loyalty and a sense of belonging among viewers. The funeral fallout. But in Clearwater Beach's gated chapel, with its intimate gathering of close kin and friends, that myth faltered. The no-shows at Hogan's funeral became a glaring counterpoint to decades of carefully cultivated messaging. For many fans, the stark contrast between ideological brotherhood and real-world absence was a bitter pill to swallow, prompting heated discussions on message boards, social media, and in casual water-cooler conversations. The past's dark shadows. Scandals and resentments. Beyond the question of where the wrestlers were, Linda Hogan pointed to deeper reasons behind their absence. Lingering resentments tied to Hulk Hogan's troubled history. Wrestling, ever conscious of its own mythology, seldom addresses its darker chapters, but the funeral controversy forced these shadows into the open. 2006 Gawker audio leak. Hogan's racist remarks led to his abrupt removal from WWE television. While he later issued public apologies and was reinstated, the incident left a lasting wound in the locker room. Some performers resented the scandal's fallout and feared being tarnished by association. TNA stint and backlash. After leaving WWE, Hogan's work in Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, TNA, was viewed by some as a betrayal of the promotion that had made him a megastar. Old WWE loyalists bristled at his willingness to jump ship for a rival company, a move they considered disloyal. Legal battles and public feuds. Hogan's lawsuits against Gawker and other disputes with former colleagues highlighted a more combative side of his personality. While some admired his fight for privacy rights, others saw his litigious approach as antithetical to the collaborative spirit wrestling purports to value. Linda Hogan rejected these defenses, insisting the funeral was not about career politics or image management. This was about a man who gave his heart and soul to the business, she said. If he mattered to you, you could have found a way. Her words underscored that, regardless of past grievances, a final farewell warrants a basic level of human decency. Unexpected acts of kindness. Dwayne Johnson and the new generation. Amid the outrage over who didn't appear, Linda Hogan made a point to honor those who did. Their understated support provided a poignant contrast to the high-profile absences. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Arriving unannounced and slipping out quietly, The Rock embodied humility. Linda described his presence as class personified, noting his warmth and the genuine comfort he offered her family. In an era when celebrity appearances often seek publicity, Johnson's discreet footfall spoke volumes about true respect. Young WWE talents, several rising stars, unconnected professionally to Hogan but moved by his contributions, traveled at personal expense to attend. Their willingness to interrupt training, promotional obligations, and travel schedules to pay respects highlighted a generational shift. A new wave of performers genuine in their admiration for wrestling pioneers. These gestures, though fewer in number, carried powerful symbolic weight. They suggested that respect transcends status, and that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness resonate most deeply. The fallout continues. Calls for accountability. As days passed, fans took to social media to demand explanations from the absentees. Personal inboxes of Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, and Vince McMahon were flooded with messages. Where were you? A handful issued private apologies, but few provided public statements. Ric Flair's voice note. Flair eventually shared a recorded message acknowledging mixed feelings and a desire to grieve privately. Terry and I had ups and downs, he said. I chose to mourn in my own way. His apology, though heartfelt, arrived too late for many, sparking debate over whether private grief excuses public absence. Silence from modern stars. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, both vocal about Hogan's influence, remained publicly silent. Their absence, juxtaposed with past tributes, prompted fans to question sincerity and raise concerns about the transactional nature of on-screen praise. The price of public image. Many wrestlers operate under intense scrutiny, mindful of fan perception and corporate approval. Some no-shows may have feared backlash over their presence, given Hogan's controversial past. Yet Linda Hogan argued that image concerns should never outweigh basic human compassion. People make time for what matters, she asserted. The debate over public grieving. The funeral controversy ignited a broader conversation about celebrity mourning. When one's life is lived in the public eye, does attendance at a funeral become an obligation? First performance obligation? Proponents argue that public figures owe a final salute. Fans invest emotionally in a performer's journey. Reciprocation at life's end validates that bond. Second, authentic private mourning? Opponents insist grief is profoundly personal. A public funeral can feel performative, and some argue that private mourning offers a more genuine homage. 3. Forms of respect. Is respect best shown through presence, flowers, online tributes, or financial contributions? Diverse views surfaced, with no consensus but a shared sense that sincerity, not obligation, should drive memorial gestures. Voices from beyond the ring. Family and insider perspectives. Close friends of the Bollea family privately lamented the absentees, questioning why professional alliances evaporate in moments of personal crisis. Fan communities. Wrestling forums and fan clubs buzzed with heated debate, some declaring boycotts of future events featuring absent stars, others calling for understanding and empathy. Reflection. Terry Hulk Hogan Bollea, the man beyond the bandana. Amid the uproar, it's crucial to remember that this episode centers on a man, Terry Bollea, whose life transcended his wrestling persona. As Linda Hogan reminded the world, this wasn't about Hulk Hogan, the superstar. It was about Terry, the man who laughed with you, cried with you, and stood by you. Stories of the real Terry, charity work and mentorship. Beyond the ring, Hogan quietly supported youth programs and mentored aspiring wrestlers, often without publicizing his efforts. Personal trials. Hogan's well-documented health scares, surgeries that threatened his mobility, revealed a more vulnerable individual behind the bravado. Colleagues who visited him during those dark times forged bonds that, by Linda's account, went unreciprocated in his final farewell. Epilogue. A legacy reclaimed through truth. As WWE and its performers navigate the fallout, Hulk Hogan's legacy will be shaped not only by his on-screen triumphs, but by these candid revelations of real-world loyalty, or the lack thereof. Linda Hogan's decision to speak out has challenged the industry's mythos and provoked necessary soul-searching, potential for reconciliation. Perhaps the controversy will prompt heartfelt apologies, renewed friendships, and a recommitment to the values wrestling preaches. Enduring lessons. Whether alliances are genuine or performative, the true test of brotherhood comes when cameras fade and funeral doors close. One certainty remains. The silence that surrounded Hogan's final farewell will reverberate far longer than any echo in a sold-out arena. In that void, the wrestling world confronts its own contradictions and the enduring question of what it really means to stand by one another when it matters most.